Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, June 28, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning James, Davis, and Hudson are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Barry Bergren, Bureau of Sanitation. Jim Berman, Public Works, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Seffi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Lori Richenberg, City Attorney.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment, no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comments section. We also did not receive any speaker cards for any of the items for today's agenda.
Okay, then we'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. We have a partial release of a stop notice, agenda item number 9. Neal Electric Corporation transmitted a partial release of a stop notice in the amount of $293,772.10, reducing the total stop notice from $1,457,483.15 to $1,164,071.05 for performing labor and furnishing work in connection with the LAPD Police Academy Replacement Training Facility Project, the contractor on which is Kemp Brothers Construction. A bond for the release of monies was approved by the board on June 16, 2017. This partial release will reduce the bond liability amount by the $293,772.10, with the remaining $1,164,071.05 being the new bond amount. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 9 forthwith? By Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item numbers 5, 6, and 8 are above-ground facilities or above-ground facility hearings in Council District 14. Mr. Ledoux, my understanding that you could just confirm for us on the record is that on 5, 6, and 8, the parties, which include the Council Office, the Bureau of Engineering, and the relevant applicants are requesting 2 more weeks because they feel like they are getting closer to some co-location options, and the applicants, AT&T, are willing to toll the shot clock for that 2-week period. Is that correct? Okay. Then, if there's without any objection, we will grant that 2-week continuance. Mr. Campos, that takes us to Wednesday, July 12th.
That is correct.
Okay. Then that'll be the new hearing date on those. Mr. Ledoux, if you could pass that on for us. Thank you, sir. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, June 9th, 2017, by Commissioner Repenning? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve the meeting minutes of the meeting of Friday, June 9th, 2017. Agenda item number 1, the bids for the Channel 35 television studio and Pico House seismic separation. Dr. Campos on agenda item number 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. The bids that we will open today is for the Channel 35 television studio and Pico House seismic separation project. The city has estimated this project to be at $21,120,000 even, and this is in Council District number 14. We did receive 2 bids, and we will open them now. The first bid received is from S.J. Amorosa Construction Company, Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $32,947,000 even. That's $32,947,000 from S.J. Amoroso Construction Company, Incorporated. The second and final bid received for this project is from Pinner Construction Company Incorporated for a total bid amount of $38,594,000 even. That's 38594,000 from Pinner Construction Company Incorporated. President James, that concludes the bid openings.
All right, thank you. Is there a second to my motion that we declare the bids received and opened by Commissioners Jacinto and Davis? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Thank you, ladies. Agenda item number 2, above-ground facility variance for 21011 West Gresham Street, recommending that the board approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance pursuant to Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 6208VB, and secondly, authorize mobility to install a 46-foot, 2-inch high wood monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 21011 West Gresham Street. Mr. Ledoux on number 2. Mr. Ledoux, how far, if you look in the photograph where we have the simulated installation of the lower photograph, how far is it from that utility pole? Is it across the street? Right. So it looks like it's symmetrically across the street. Is that fair? Okay. Any questions, Commissioner Repenning?
I know we continued 3 of them, but we do have 6 monopoles on today's agenda, correct? We have six variance requests for monopoles on today's agenda, right? And I know you and I were supposed to meet on Monday, and we got squeezed out because the board meeting went long, and I had a thing with sanitation upstairs. And I know we're going to meet next week. But I feel I'm going to be voting no on all 3 of the items that are on our agenda today because I feel that this is a lot that's coming to us, and I feel like I don't really have the bigger picture for what is actually going on, what we're going to expect, and really whether, to me, all the questions about co-location, what are the other options, what are the other possibilities, is this really the best option for that neighborhood? I just don't think, I'm not at the point where I feel like I have that, so I do look forward to meeting with you next week, Mr. Ledoux, and I just wanted to share with my colleagues and put on the record why I will be voting no on these items today.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Penning. A couple of items raised by Commissioner Penning, just now that I'd like to follow up on myself. Next week we're on recess. Will you have an opportunity to meet with Commissioner Penning next week? Okay. Do we have any agenda items coming up on Friday of these items? Okay. So we're looking at the final 3 before your meeting with Commissioner Penning, recognizing that 3 of them were continued, the ones in CD 14 for co-location issues. Okay. And that was my question. Maybe Shannon would just confirm that for the record. On agenda item number 2, Shannon, regarding the co-location option. What number are we on? Yeah, number 2. This is Gresham. Okay, so they are too short. What happens if you were to use the shorter light pole as a co-location? Would it require more apparatus? Okay. Okay, thank you. One reason I'm going to vote on yes on this one is as I mentioned, I think it was even before Commissioner Penning's comment, the symmetry of the utility pole across the street, to me, doesn't, in this area, to me, looking at a photograph, recognizing I don't live on the street, but it fits more. And so this one doesn't look as much of an interruption to me as some of the others that I've seen. Recognizing this co-location option, I would almost rather, if I did live on the street, have this than a bunch of other apparatus on the light poles at a shorter height. So thank you for answering the question. That doesn't always happen with these wood monopoles, but it did this time. Yeah. Okay. Commissioner Davis.
Yes, so I acknowledge the issue that Commissioner Repenning has raised in terms of us having some more intelligence about how we can implement a strategic plan. What I wanted to know in terms of the process and procedure as to how these things occur is a part of the process that we contact neighborhood associations in terms of our desire to put a apparatus in the area. Is that a part of our process? Well, in pertinent part, in terms of this particular item, I guess we have no complainants on this particular item. Is that correct? We don't. Okay, so can support this particular one, but I remain equally concerned that we have more of a strategic approach in terms of the implementation of these in our city. And obviously, my initial concern was that we certainly communicate, and I know that the community may not be able to call the final shot in terms of our implementation, but I think we lack a strategic plan and conversation, particularly with this board, and often, even though the council district is on first base in terms of what goes on in the community, often we might find ourselves as the Board of Public Works in a position where, in fact, we need to take leadership in terms of the best interests of the city in general, in terms of how something might be implemented in our town. So while we work with the council, and we do, there are often times when, in fact, they may be neutral on an issue, and yet this Board of Public Works may want to take the leadership, such is the case on this policy, because we do need to have a strategic plan that gives us some clearer vision about what we think ought to be the approach that we take in working with this. And I think that I support strongly this suggestion that Commissioner Repenning has. Even though I'm going to support this today, it is certainly not a blanket area of support for me in terms of how we move forward. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Rivas?
I heard from Street Lighting yesterday that these were now going to be submitted to their bureau first to check to see if co-locations were possible. Has that happened with the items for today's agenda? when you, in the future, when you submit these, will we know that you already checked with BSL, or can we assume that that has already happened? Oh, so there'll be a new design of this, of a monopole if necessary. I would just like it in the board report to know whether, BSL, or I don't know if it's an addendum or an attachment. Because I always assumed that that already had happened when I get these and I read them. Okay, I think that would be very helpful to know that there was an attempt, in good faith, I should say, to really find a co-location in that area. So, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. Yes, just on that point, excellent point. And Jeff, I wanted to mention that the continuance that we did a few minutes ago of those 3 items for CD14, you touched on it in your exchange with Commissioner Rivas just now. 17 out of 20 have a realistic co-location opportunity. That's a win for us. The mayor's office will be very pleased about that. The community will be very pleased about that. And I want to thank you for your hard work on that. I had intended to do it on your last presentation this morning, but it's on the table right now. And Commissioner Cinto, you as well, as a liaison to the Bureau of Engineering, and Shannon and all the representatives from the applicants. One of the things that we are working on doing, and I've been in touch with Dr. Campos on this, and the Bureau of Engineering and Commissioner Cinto, is bringing something either to the board or just issuing a mandate, if you will, from the board regarding this new policy approach of going through the Bureau of Street Lighting. To finalize it, we're kind of waiting to see what DOT does. But the latest explanation that I have, that might be premature for presentation, but it seems like DOT has real substantive public safety reasons that co-location on their apparatus is not going to work. But what is interesting is the misperception perhaps out there that some of what was a DOT pole was really a BSL pole that DOT attached itself to. And so there are some opportunities there. So all of this is I think, moving along in the right direction, given the balance that we have to make on the need for service to our community as technology continues to improve. So thank you, Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Jeff, thank you for the report and the work on the whole AGF status as the build-out continues. Colleagues, I agree with all the feedback that a strategic plan, a strategic vision of our public right-of-way and these AGFs in light of pending legislation is really, really important, because that the pending legislation could kind of change the landscape and remove local control. So I think our eyes should be also focused on that sort of contextual landscape. And regarding the action of staff, I think if it's not with a significant change within the ordinance that we allow, as it's provided, and Jeff, you kind of stated it already, and I wanted to confirm that at some point, that allowing the direction from the board to Bureau of Engineering staff to direct the telecommunications to check first with primarily Bureau of Street Lighting, and that if that's not a deviation from the current ordinance, that we just sort of move that forward so we can have that feedback and that verification and validation that they went to Bureau of Street Lighting first, I think would expedite this process of ensuring that co-location is what we want to do, which is, I think, the goal here. So, Ms. Rittenberg, is that something that you could confirm whether or not the directive from the board to staff to create an additional step, first step, if you will, of assembling an AGF package would be to go to BSL? Would that be an amendment, or what are your thoughts regarding the ordinance?
That would be an amendment. I don't know, I have to see the ordinance.
Could you report back then on that? Yeah, okay, thank you.
And that takes me to the next question, and Ms. Rittenberg, I think I'll relieve you of this one, not the one I'm about to ask, because I think Mr. Jordan is back on the, not Friday, but at our next board meeting, yeah, July 10th. And I know he's been working on this himself. Is an update from him. You might pass this along to him, though. An update from him on where the ordinance is that requires notification to residents of these multifamily.
About that.
Okay.
That you inquired about it a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And
So we'll hopefully hear from Mr. Jordan about that
Yes.
when he returns. I know that ordinance has been pending, or that amendment to the ordinance has been pending for a very long time.
we
So
couldn't, honestly, I couldn't find it with my resources, but I don't, my question actually was to Ted, was there a council motion? Because general counsel doesn't have any record of it.
oh,
Nor could I find anything in the city council
Okay.
file.
well we'll ask Mr. Jordan
I sent you an email about
when
it.
he returns. Okay, thank you,
In fact, I did, yeah.
Commissioner Penny.
Sure, I just wanted to add on to that. I mean, I actually think it would not be a bad idea to do a presentation to the whole board, whether it's through Ted or Jeff or, some combination, just the lay of the land, even if we invited some of the folks coming to us, which at this point are primarily mobility and AT&T, to come if they'd be willing to present to us their larger plan for how they're wanting to do business, what their needs are, just to establish a baseline of shared information among the board. I mean, if that works out, I think that would not be time poorly spent.
I would agree. So, Mr. Campos, you can work on scheduling that.
I will work with the Bureau of Engineering to put something on the calendar, probably mid-July, as early as possible.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for the helpful discussion. Anything further on agenda item number 2? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2. Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, one opposed? So agenda item number 2 passes. Thank you, Mr. Ledoux, on number 2. Number 3, Council District 13, above-ground facility variance, 4829 West Lemon Grove Avenue. Recommending that the board approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance pursuant to LAMC Section 6208VB. And secondly, authorize mobility to install a 38-foot, 11-inch high wood monopole in the public right-of-way across the street from 4829 West Lemon Grove Avenue. This one is in CD 13. Mr. Ledoux on number 3. Any questions on number 3? Is there a motion on number 3? By Commissioner Cento, I'll second it, along with Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Commissioner Penning is a no vote. Do you support? Okay. So that's 4-1 as well on number 3. Agenda item number 4.
Mr. President, just for clarification, these items are not passing forthwith.
That's right. If it's not unanimous, I rarely go forthwith, so I didn't make a motion for forthwith on items 2 and 3. Agenda item number 4, Council District 9, above-ground facility variance, 4418 South Figueroa Street. Recommending the board first approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the above-ground facility ordinance pursuant to Los Angeles Municipal Code, Section 6208 VB, and secondly, authorize mobility to install a 42-foot high steel monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 4418 South Figueroa Street. Mr. Ledoux, I'm going to assume that this one is a steel monopole at the request of the council office in the discussions that they had with the applicant. Commercial zone? Yes. And that was their request to begin with, correct? Yes. Okay, Council, I'm sorry, Commissioner Davis?
This location in the 9th District, is this on Vernon and Figueroa? Let's see, it's a Burger King, right?
Shannon, will you look that up for us? Okay.
On 45 in Figueroa. Is it across the street from a shopping center or where? You know where? I'm just trying to better understand.
You can Google map it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's across from...
Do you want to see what else is around there?
Yeah. Okay.
You want to see what else is around there?
No, I just wanted to make sure that this was the location I thought it was.
Okay.
Okay,
Are you square with it?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Ledoux, anything to add on this one? Okay, any questions on agenda item number 4? I don't have any questions. Motion made by Commissioner Cento. I'll second it. Any objection? Commissioner Repenning objects. Any other objection? It'll be 4-1 on agenda item number 4. Thank you, Mr. Ledoux. No. So I'll let Mr. Campos explain for the record what happens. I typically stay away from forthwith if we have an objecting vote. Unless we have an emergency need for a 2-day delay, I don't think that we do we? Okay, so Mr. Campos, you'll explain?
Yeah, absolutely. These items were not passed forthwith on items 2, 3, and 4. What that basically means is that the board can any of the board members can change their vote and reconsider the item at the next following meeting, which would be Friday, June the 30th. After June 30th, if no one has changed their vote or reconsidered the item or put a vote for reconsideration, the item will be considered approved.
And the main reason that I don't move items forthwith when there's an objecting vote is to provide the opportunity for a motion for reconsideration. As far as the applicants, you do not need to appear at the next hearing because if there's a motion for reconsideration, all we would do is reconsider it and re-agendize it for a future date, so you would not miss a hearing. We have somebody from BOE staff anyway that will be here. That's fine. As long as we have somebody here that's normally here, then we have it covered. Okay? Thank you. Shannon, do you have a question? Sure.
So we'll be building everything 50 and below, regardless of what the variance says. But I've talked to Jeff, as long as it's lower, it's fine. And so, and I'm also going through, right now we have 350 sites that need to be submitted, and I'm sort of painstakingly going through all of those to cut those down drastically and to see what we can do for co-location. But we are working, and we hear you.
Well, thank you. We consider you and the company you represent a partner in this process, and we appreciate your working with us. Thank you. Thank you. So that's, Mr. Ledoux, we've covered your items for the day, right? Okay, well, have a nice holiday, sir. All right, thank you. Agenda item number 7, tree removal, Council District 4, 1640 North Marley Drive, recommending that the board first find that the project is categorically exempt under Article 3, Section 1, Class 3, Category 1 of the city's Environmental Quality Act guidelines, and there is no substantial evidence the proposed project will have significant effect on the environment and is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. Number 2, find that none of the exceptions to the use of categorical exemption as set forth in Section 15300.2 of state CEQA guidelines apply. Number 3, specify that the Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And number 4, review and approve the request for a fee permit to remove 4 coast live oak trees, and tree replacements are required. Mr. Benuelos on agenda item number 7.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, Dr. Campos, Hector Banuelos, Urban Forestry Division. Mr. Mayor Crow, property owner of 1640 North Marley Drive, is proposing to demolish an existing single-family residence and construct a new 3-story single-family residence of approximately 2,250 square foot footprint on the property that measures approximately 9,454 square feet with moderate to steep topography sloping downward from Marlin Drive towards the rear of the property. The proposed residence will be built into the hillside and includes a cantilever driveway, pool, and outdoor deck. In order to build the proposed residence, the property owner is required to perform remedial grading, retaining walls, and other slope stability measures. Mr. Crow acquired the services of Miss Ann Burrows, registered consulting arborist, to provide an assessment of the property and to address the proposed project impact to the native trees on the property. Ms. Burrows inspected the property and found that there are 5 coast live oak trees on the property and 1 oak tree that is adjacent property line and in close proximity to where the construction will be performed. The 4 coast live oak trees will be severely impacted in the proposed construction and are proposed to be removed. The 4 coast live oak trees for removal measure approximately 7 to 21 inches in diameter by 18 to 20 feet in height and are in fair condition. 3 of the 4 trees have moderate leans, and if the roots were severed,
I'm sorry, Hector, 3 of the 4 trees have moderate what?
3 of the 4 oak trees that proposed for removal have moderate leans away from the property. So if the roots are severed, the trees will fall over.
Okay.
Right. So all the 4 trees are located within proximity of the footprint, or within the footprint, and are going to be impacted by the grading and by the construction of the home, and therefore need to be removed. The 4 trees will be replaced with 16 24-inch box size coast live oaks.
And those 16 will be on site?
16 will be on the site and will be bonded to ensure their survival for 3 years.
Okay. Excellent. Any questions? I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 7 forthwith? We will send number 7 forthwith. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned this Wednesday morning. Thank you, everyone.